It's a Friday. It's the waitingfornextyear.com podcast, and Brian's on the line. I usually let you do the singing in and out of the podcast.
That really bothers me. Why did you do that?
I don't know. It was an homage.
All right.
You're the real podcast singer, Brian.
I am. Now my enthusiasm to do that is ripped away in this moment. Maybe I'll get it back another time. This reminds me of my brother used to sing. Do you remember the old TV show Coach?
Yeah, with Dauber and
and Craig T. Nelson. And my brother, when it started every week, used to always sing the song, and he would go coach, 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 coach. And he always said, if anybody ever did it, except for him, he would never do it again. And I dared to do it one week, and he did. He got really mad and refused. He never did it again. So
now you're emulating him because I dared to say, it's Friday.
Yep.
All right. Sorry.
If you edit it out, it's done. I know it happened. So good job. You wrecked your podcast.
What's really I was going to say funny, but it might not be funny, is anybody who thinks that Brian's joking. I actually feel kind of bad now because I feel like I ruined something.
Yeah, that was my thing.
It's this weird codified artistic integrity that you have with what you do. And I've noticed this about you. It truly exists. And I don't. Man, that almost sounded like an insult. But you've got this code, and I learn more and more about it all the time. And I guess it's pretty easy, because it's rooted in this basic moral standard. But sometimes I guess I'm interested at how it manifests itself in your life.
I don't know exactly in my life. I certainly know online, and I think this is where a lot of my my distance from Twitter rather has come from, is because I'll often, if I'm going to say something, I'll search and see, who else has said it, if a bazillion people have said it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And inevitably, if like one person said something similar, I'm like, no, I can't. Now I feel like I took it from somebody,
I used to be original in my mind, but now I know I'm not.
Yeah, so I guess that's silly or something. I don't know, but I certainly know. Like I had, I think I've told this story on here before, where this guy back when I had Turtle Calls, like wanted to do. I had a page on the site for franchising, where like I said for $10,000 I'd give you my system, and you could choose an animal of your choice and have a franchise. You could have lion calls or whatever you wanted to do. But it was a joke. I didn't expect anybody to take it seriously, because who would want to do that? Who would want to just take somebody else's idea and run and do their own version of it? It just didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
I mean, you can do that in some areas, but not. I didn't feel with something as semi unique as that. Not that those types of calls were like super unique.
No, it'd be like trying to franchise your Etsy page.
Yeah. If you had a product that was hey, this is unique to me. I came up with this thing. Well, I want to do it with a different material. It might be, I don't know, whatever. But the guy got on the phone with me and was like, he said that he wanted to do Luke Wilson calls. Or Owen Wilson calls. I feel like I've told you this story before.
Yeah.
But, and I was like, I didn't understand what he was. Right there, I was like, you don't even get it. You don't understand what it is. He's like,
what? I thought I was supposed to charge people money and make phone calls. What's so hard to understand, like, Brian?
But he really insulted me because he goes, well, I do a really good Owen Wilson impersonation. Anybody can do what you do with that like turtle voice. And I was like, I go, man, you try getting on the phone with somebody, telling him you're a turtle, and keeping him on the phone for 3 to 4 minutes. You try it once, and then try and do it as Owen Wilson. I was really insulted.
The guy who made that phone call to Brian, by the way, Frank Caliendo.
Right. This guy didn't even do a good Owen Wilson. First of all, you can't like call. Not everybody knows who Owen Wilson is
But
like
you say
that.
that like it would have mattered if he had the greatest Owen Wilson. You wouldn't have cared.
Well, the thing is, he only said like three things. He
Right.
had like, I'm like, no, and I can't believe I probably spent 20 minutes on the phone with this guy. I don't know why. I guess I was just fascinated. But I was like, no, you have to have a conversation with me. You can't just throw catchphrases at me.
Which is always the best thing about this latest generation of people who do impersonations, like Jay Moore, even Frank Caliendo. They actually have material. It's not like, hey, my name is, and then they say the person that they're impersonating. They actually have material as Charles Barkley or as Christopher
Yeah,
Walken.
well, that's the great impressionists they don't just do an imitation. They kind of become a character of their own creation that harkens back to the spirit of whoever this person is they're doing an impression of. Because honestly, anybody like Christopher Walken is one. Everyone has a Christopher Walken imitation. Everyone has a Jack Nicholson imitation. You just go, you can't handle the truth. I mean, that's a bad one, but you know what I mean? Like, anybody can just recite a lot famous lines from movies and imitate somebody's voice.
The best one is Arnold. Nobody has material
Right.
of Arnold. They just have all his famous catchphrases.
Right. They just do imitations. But an impressionist, like if you look at, say, a really good one is Will Ferrell's George W. Bush, which if you really, it really isn't that much like him, but it's evocative of the spirit of him somehow that is deadly accurate, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what a great impressionist is. So this guy was not even an impressionist at all. He was just like, oh, yeah, I'm Owen Wilson. I got a crazy nose. That's like what he would say. I'm like, how's that going to carry? How are you going to carry that for 2 minutes?
Well, and that's why my favorite thing, my favorite Schwarzenegger thing ever was when they. Have you ever seen Arnold's Pizza Shop? And they pretend like they're Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he's working at a pizza shop, and he's like he's taking orders, and
I've not seen that.
it's actually I'll have to link it up in the podcast, but it's actually really good, and it's not all right. Get to the chopper, got it. Okay, everybody can
Right.
say that,
Right.
but no, if you want extra cheese and pepperoni, is funny as Schwarzenegger.
Right.
Anyway. We should talk a little bit about sports, but sports right now has nothing to do with sports. I noted while we're waiting this morning that even locally here in Cleveland yesterday, they spent the whole day talking about Roger Goodell, and whether or not he should get fired. And it was honestly and I love a lot of the people on radio. I kind of blame the program director, whoever set the agenda, but it was like the least compelling radio I've heard in a very long time, just because there's no counter argument. There's no
Right.
argument. It's all people kind of yelling in the same direction.
Right.
Have you seen anything that was this big of a deal in the media without a counterpoint?
I'm sure I have, but
Yeah.
not offhand.
Do you find that problematic?
In what way?
Well, just that this media culture, this monster that we have right now, will focus on something even when there's no counterpoint.
Yeah, it's all about clicks and listeners and stuff, and that's all that really matters when it comes down to it. As far as like, that's why journalists are getting fired, because the city hall beat reporter doesn't get big clicks, so that's kind of where we are. And right now, Roger Goodell, I swear to God, most sites and podcasts and whoever, they get, well, what are we gonna publish today? They go to Google Trends and see what people are searching. And
Yeah, and I guess technically we're talking about it now too.
yeah, and then it feeds itself, of course. So, yeah, I don't remember anything. But there's actually an interesting element to it. And I don't consume nearly as much sports media, and I know this has transcended sports in a huge way, but I don't I don't consume all the sports media that you do, so I'm probably not as annoyed by it.
Right.
But because I don't have a site that I write for and that I produce content for, so frankly I don't need to know what everyone's saying. Um, but the interesting thing is that he's rooted himself in and like refuses to move. Like, how has he not resigned or been fired yet? It's pretty amazing. And again, that's probably a point that's been made all over the place. I think it is the point of what everyone's saying right now, but it is pretty amazing.
Well, I guess, but even then, you're just talking about timing, and in the end, the story has no shock value. I mean, corporate guy lies and maybe covers something up or is incompetent. Is there anything interesting about that, or have we seen it played out 1,000 times? I mean, at what point does there need to be something in the story that's interesting, shocking, controversial? I mean, none of this is controversial, even with Ray Rice, and that was previous controversy. Everyone kind of agrees that it's controversial for the same reason. It just seems like we're on 100% agreement across the board, and anybody who disagrees gets smashed in 2 seconds anyway. So,
Right.
it was Paul George commented and deleted tweets and got
Yeah,
admonished by the Pacers and
that wasn't the best commentary by him. But I'll tell you what,
LOL, LOL. He
yeah, I
says,
can't believe you dropped an LOL in there. But I will tell you this. I don't mind that the talk is continuing for kind of precisely what you just said is we are, as a culture, learning a lot more about domestic violence and domestic abuse, verbal abuse, and how much it goes on and what it means. And, the more this is talked about, the more people are aware of it. Much like what went on with the Steubenville rape thing, where everyone came out of that like knowing a lot more about rape culture and all that stuff than they did before. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that this has dragged on. Because I've seen a lot of people, I mean, that hashtag with why I stayed, why I left. I thought that was great. So I don't necessarily mind that this drags on, because you get more and more people learning about the why I stayed thing is like really, like, people need to read that stuff, because that is really, really important. I got in this small Twitter spat with this guy who was like, I get why I stayed and why I left, but what I don't get is why I came back, which was another hashtag he put out there. And I was like, man, why I came back is just another version of why I stayed. I mean, go do some real reading about this. Like, it'll take, it can take years to one, realize you're even being abused, and then to extricate yourself from the situation. It's really, the abuse cycle is a vicious, crazy thing. And I just, the more people talk about it, the better. I'm glad that this has become the issue it has. And why this one, that's one thing I've seen people talk a lot about, is like, why this one and not the other ones? It's like, well, I don't know, but I'm glad this one hit, because it's a huge issue, and I'm glad people know a lot more about it than they did, 2 weeks ago. So I don't think it's all bad.
no, I don't think it's all bad either. And certainly I don't think the conversation and the awareness is bad. I just,
Yeah.
man. By
Yeah,
the
I
time,
know.
my point was, by the time it got to Roger Goodell, we're talking about something, we're talking about corporate whateverness. We're not talking about domestic violence and how awful it is anymore. We're talking about corporate bureaucracy failing, and
Right.
I couldn't be less interested in that.
Right. Right. Although I mean, it will. You still, and maybe it's just what I'm reading. I don't know, but I see a lot of stuff. How his refusal it's not a direct form of abuse, but it is a dismissal of the issue to some extent. And there's people that are talking and fighting against that, and saying you can't sweep this issue under the rug.
No.
Okay, not with the whole NFL for women or whatever they have coming up in October that they do with all the pink jerseys, which in and of itself is kind of insulting. But I just think it's I don't know. I don't mind that the talk has continued. But yes, conversation about like Roger Goodell's salary and that stuff. It's pretty boring. But yeah.
Well, and the last point that I would make, the one takeaway that I have enjoyed, yes, the NFL messed up their punishment cycle and everything else, but I do think we're kind of using the NFL disproportionately in terms of the way we should deal with domestic violence. Yes, we should attack domestic violence via somebody's employer. But you probably should start with the law as well,
Yeah.
That whole thing. So that's the other part of the awareness that I am happy has kind of stayed out there, is that I think there's going to be a huge amount of pressure on I think it was the state of New Jersey in this case, because it was Atlantic City, and there should be. I mean, that I don't know. I don't know what the precedent is there and whatever else, but that certainly seems to be out of whack as well.
It's a tough thing because if Janae Rice comes forth and doesn't absolves him of fault, and it becomes a really complicated issue, and
I thought that's what made this one different, though, is that we had a video.
Yeah, I don't know I honestly don't know the legal ins and outs of it. I don't.
No, and I don't think either one of us are qualified to really debate the law of New Jersey.
Right. So yeah, I don't know that I can get into that. But anyway, I have no point now.
So Twitter was kind of fun last night. Not fun like in a fun way, but I thought it was an interesting use of Twitter last night with TJ Lane's stuff going on as he escaped his prison there in Lima, Ohio, and people are, spreading information and pictures, and I don't know what use it was in the end because the officers found him and everything, but there's a scenario where that could have been really useful. Oh
yeah, the internet loves a good manhunt.
Especially a justified one.
Yeah, I mean that's really creepy. I don't know. I mean, you don't think about. Obviously, we have a lot of jailbreaks in movies and such, but you don't think about it really happening because it just seems like it would be really hard.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that idea. People always assume that the government has enough surveillance that they know what's going on at all times. People assumed that when Jimmy Haslam bought the Browns, the NFL is well resourced enough that there's no way they wouldn't have vetted him and they wouldn't have known about the FBI investigation. People assume that jails are so locked down and have so much security that nobody could ever break out.
Yeah.
In reality.
I do. But apparently not. I don't know.
Apparently we're wrong.
What will happen now? I haven't really read the aftermath. Does the jail get in trouble for that? The prison? Or what happens?
For sure, the guys who escaped will have additional charges, and they'll get charged with. That's a crime. I don't know which crime it is, but yeah, escaping prison after
you're not allowed to do that.
No. No. But and a lot of people are concerned because obviously this kid was a sociopath in the courtroom with messages on his shirt and flicking people off, and so in a lot of ways people are not worried, but they don't want to give this kid another venue,
right?
Which makes sense, but whatever. I mean, who cares? I'm not afraid of what this kid can say. I'm only afraid of what he can do. He can't hurt me with words, Brian.
I wonder what his plan was, or if he just figured getting out was step one, or I wonder if he had a definitive
Maybe he was just bored.
Yeah, I mean it could be. You figure, hey, well here I am. Why not? I'll try and get out.
I'm here for life.
Yeah, what are they going to do? What are they going to do if they catch me?
I have no
who
idea.
Cares?
But it was a crazy story. Police scanners on iPhones. It's the works. The internet turned into an extra wing of the police department or the media or some combination of the two, and was doing the whole thing.
Yeah, I wasn't really heavily active in watching it, but I certainly read about it kind of, on the side. I was certainly aware it was going on, but I wasn't close enough to be looking out my window to where he is. But yeah, it was interesting.
I don't know where to go with that from there, and I didn't have a good segue either.
I am glad they caught him.
It's very good that he's no longer free. So slowly approaching Cavs season, and I noted today on a different post on Waiting for Next Year that they're handling their ticket sales in a different way. Did you read about this yet?
I saw there's some kind of lottery.
Yeah, every month, instead of releasing all their regular single game season tickets of the season available at once on a certain day, they're going to release them 30 a month at a time. There will be a lottery every month for fans to buy up to 6 tickets to one game. And after you buy tickets to one game, you go back into the pool and you're not allowed to win again for 60 days.
60 days?
Yeah. So
the season's only 6 months long.
Right. So
okay, so why
go
who
ahead.
buys 6 tickets to a game? Why 6?
Well, that's the max.
Oh, that seems really dumb because that's opening it up for people to sell those. And not that they might not sell them if they only bought 2, but that's clearly like who grabs 5 friends and goes to a game? I figure it's either 2 or 4. And it seems like with 4, that's a reasonable like amount. And
well, if you take your whole family, it's not unreasonable that you would need 5. And they probably, I mean, you want to.
Well, that's then the individual families are able to have lotteries within their own families to see who goes.
Well, anyway, the number 6 doesn't bother me so much.
6 it just seems like more people would have opportunities to win if they went with 4.
Well, I think most people are going to only buy 4. I don't think most people are going to buy them and then try and flip them. That's part of the window, too. You know, you're buying them in the month that you're going. You're not going to have 7 weeks to sell them on the secondary market. You're only going to have, you know, maybe the maximum lead time you'd have to sell them on the secondary market would be 28 or 29 days.
That's easy though. I mean, that's those flash seats. I mean, every game I've gone to, I buy tickets like that day usually.
Well,
so
and the flash seats thing on the secondary market, that's the secondary market is still the same.
yeah, I mean that's going to be a hot ticket. If I won that lottery, I would buy 6, use 2, and sell 4.
Well, that makes you a bad person.
Well, they have enabled me and told me it's okay to do that. Basically,
Well, but it'd be even worse if they just opened up the whole season.
I suppose
Because the brokers will just go buy them all.
Now, maybe see the thing is like to me. Yes,
I mean, just compare it to the alternative.
I guess I'm trying to figure out what their. I guess they figure this makes sure more people can go. I don't know. It seems like it overcomplicates things.
Let's look at it from a broker standpoint. Okay, you work at Fabulous Tickets.
Okay.
And last year they opened all single season games on September 25th, and you went on and you bought tickets to 20 games.
Okay.
And then you marked all of those up, sometimes double, triple, because LeBron's in town.
Right.
So now the fans who wanted to go see that game are paying triple the price, and Fabulous Tickets has, you know, all the margin in their pockets.
Yeah, but I just don't see.
But now with the lottery, each household is only allowed one lottery participant, including the ticket broker. The ticket broker can only buy, if he's got 5 employees, he can only buy 5 games a month.
Is this the stated purpose of this? Is to thwart ticket brokers? Oh, then I guess they've researched it. To me, it seems like the goal should be to keep prices affordable for the end user, like the people who actually go to the game.
I think that's exactly what they're doing. Their goal.
But there are I know somebody who bought season tickets with the express purpose of selling 60 games.
Right. Well,
or not 60, but selling half the games. I'm sorry.
But you can't stop that. I mean, you can't stop 100% of it. The best you can do is try and control it.
Yeah, I guess. It just seems like everybody's a broker now, to some extent, just because we all have the ability to put them out there on the market. So especially with that flash seats, when it's in some ways the only way to get them, these things, the prices on, I guess my point is the prices on these are going to be jacked up if you're someone looking for tickets to a game or someone looking to sell tickets to a game. Like, it's going to be a premium either way. So
It is.
but I guess if they feel that this will make sure that more people, the more that people who are buying the tickets are people who genuinely want to go to the game, if they feel that their research tells them this is the way to do it, I'm not going to scream at them.
Well, and if as a Cavs fan, you're just going to have to come to accept the fact that a ticket you paid $30 for last year is going to be 50 or 55 this year. If you paid 50 last year, it's going to be more. I mean,
Right.
and sometimes a lot more. But you also get to watch LeBron James and Kevin Love. It's inevitable. It's just
Yeah.
there's no perfect solution. I'm happy they thought about it.
Right.
And if nothing else, somebody like me, it means I'm actually going to go to a game this year when I didn't go to one last year.
Right. No, there's nothing bad about the Cavs season coming up.
I meant to go to a game last year, or two or three. It just never happened. I never got around to it. Whether it's because I live in the suburbs or I have kids or whatever else, it just never became a priority to buy those tickets and get the family or have a date night with my wife and go to the game. But you better believe I'll be down there at least once this year.
Can you get credentialed?
I mean, the site has the site has been credentialed in the past. I can't speak to this year yet.
Right.
We will see. I'm assuming it's going to be much more difficult. I assume there's going to be ridiculous amount of demand for credentials as well, and that's a finite pool of credentials.
I just bought CavsWebsite.com. I'm gonna get credentialed up for that. It's gonna be great.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, that's good. When training camp starts the 28th of this month, right?
I don't remember. I think their first preseason game. I can't remember when the preseason starts. That's what I had been looking at. Because it's funny to me, the preseason game, preseason schedule is probably not going to sell out, but it's like you still get to see LeBron back for the first time.
I think it'll sell out for sure.
Oh.
I mean, I think those will definitely sell out.
Right. I know they will. I just first game is October 5th against Maccabi Tel Aviv, the Electra.
Isn't that's Blatt's old team, isn't it?
Yep, I think so.
Cool. Well, that's exciting. Good for him.
Yeah.
He's leaving his family behind. He's going to be totally invested in. I think his son plays for some junior European pro team or something, but he is going to be fully invested in the Cavaliers. There will be no other elements to his life.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That seems intense.
I'm excited for him.
Yeah.
I'm excited for us. I'm excited. Are the Browns going to win this weekend? Tell me your prediction.
I'm already on record predicting the Saints win 28-20.
And will the Browns look good?
They will look fine, but the Saints are if the Saints play the way they should win. They've got a really good offense.
And it's here, right?
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Why is that funny?
Because I don't know anything about the Browns, and I'm on a Cleveland sports podcast. It just cracks me up.
All right.
Josh Gordon, when I saw you wrote something, he's going to be back for Cincinnati. When is that?
This is hysterical. He should be back for the Cincinnati game. I think it's week 10 technically, because the Browns have a bye week. He's got to miss 8 games, so that's 9 weeks. He's back for week 10 against Cincinnati, or he should be, assuming everything goes as planned. And yeah, so I don't know. I'm excited for the Browns. I think they finally look like an average team. That's how low the bar is.
That's great. That is so good. I don't know. I watched them last week.
Yeah, what'd you think?
I don't know. I just, you know what? I'm just so I'm just not interested. I just don't like football. I just discovered I just don't like it. It's there's just too much bad about it, and I just think to me I'm not trying to be inflammatory, even though this will sound it, but it's like it doesn't build healthy bodies, it doesn't build healthy minds, and I feel that the man's man aspect of the locker room, I feel it builds unhealthy relationships with anybody they come in contact with. So I just feel like it's a bad, and it's run by crooked people too. Now we find, so I just find there's nothing good about it.
Well, it's been harder and harder over the last few years for me to be a fan of it.
Right.
But it's also still it's something I kind of fly in the face of tradition, but
Hmm.
that's one of the things that pumps me back into football every year, even though I logically and in my head I can make arguments against it all day and night. But and I'm not a particularly traditional kind of, traditions don't mean a lot to me.
Okay.
Generally speaking, I don't try and repeat something I did last year just because I
Right.
did it last year. But yeah, it's
So do you think it's tradition or habit?
both.
Okay. Do
Both.
you do you feel you would be as invested if you were not a waiting for next year principal?
Um, well, man, that's an interesting question. Would I have quit or pulled back if I were not a part of the Waiting for Next Year website?
Yeah, if you didn't feel like you had to know this stuff.
It would have been really easy, and I talked to myself about it over the last couple of years once I had the second kid.
Hmm.
You start to put different kind of values on your weekends, and you know, just because I'm willing to stare into a bright box for 4 hours on a Sunday doesn't mean that my kids should have to.
Right.
Especially a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, they don't really get it yet. So
Right.
no, I mean, I'm sure the website has a lot to do with it,
Yeah.
or something to do with it. But I mean, even when I convince myself I'm done and I hate this team and I hate the sport, and because I think everybody goes through that. You went through something with the NBA, you
Yeah.
know. You find convenient excuses to bring yourself back if that's what you actually want to do.
Right. Well, hey, I mean, I'm going to watch them too this weekend. So, I mean, who am I? Who
You're
am I
not
to
you're
say
not going to
anything?
go down and tailgate and do beer bongs and
No, I don't think so. I might do that just at home by myself.
right. Well,
There's nothing like beer bonging by yourself.
well,
It's
and what are you just going to leave the beer bong on the wall to sit there and get no use?
right, exactly.
So
Anyway,
yeah. All right. Anything else that we left uncovered? So anything else you want to talk about?
no, I don't think so. I don't know anything. Did the Indians? They still play here, right?
Yeah, they still play here.
All right, good. I know they get. You said they get good TV ratings.
Yes, they do.
Well, it's good.
I'm actually super excited to be at the Grog Shop this evening in Coventry for a band that broke up originally in 1998.
Oh, really?
I've wanted desperately to see them.
What are they called? I saw something on
Mineral.
Twitter. I was going to say Minty was
Yeah, they're called
the name I was going to guess.
they're called Mineral, and it's been 20 years since they got together, and 15 years since they broke up, and they never really got that super huge fame popularity when they were together, and they were like in their 20s still or whatever, and now it's just surreal. 20 years later to have them touring, and they sold out 4 straight shows in New York, and I mean it's like a
Wow.
whole thing.
What kind of music do they play?
It's emo, but it's I mean guitar rock, somber guitar rock.
Sing something.
No, thank you.
You're come on. You're Mr. Sing now.
No, no, I'm also not a trained monkey, Brian.
You're Mr. Sing on the podcast guy.
It's like talking to a comedian and be like, tell a joke, make me laugh,
Right, right.
monkey
Well,
boy.
it's not exactly like that, is
No,
it?
but you know, no,
And you
I'm
know
not gonna.
what? The comedian who adores his fans, they go ahead and tell that joke. So you just shun me all you want, but
But it's also not like Mineral's not like Katy Perry, where there's a hook that everybody knows, and you can summarize this song by the 3-line phrase that she sings 4 times.
Oh, she sings fun stuff. I like her.
Yeah, that was a fun show.
Oh yeah, that's right. You went to that concert.
Yeah,
That's good.
that was amazing. An amazing audience. Amazing to see the different kinds of people who go to a Katy Perry show.
Well, good. I'm glad you had that experience.
Yeah,
All right. Well, let's cut it off.
that's good, man.
I got things to do.
Have a nice weekend, Brian, and thanks for coming on the waitingfornextyear.com podcast.
You're welcome.
All
Goodbye.
right, until next time.